Join me as I challenge myself to clearly identify and differentiate between outputs and outcomes in project monitoring and evaluation. In this video, you'll learn how to spot the differences between outputs and outcomes in project monitoring and evaluation. Many project managers struggle to distinguish between outputs and outcomes, which can lead to ineffective evaluations and misguided strategies. Despite their best efforts, they might focus on the wrong metrics or celebrate the wrong achievements. This confusion can lead to a lot of wasted time, resources, and energy. In fact, it's not uncommon to see project teams pat themselves on the back for delivering a bunch of outputs, only to realize later that those outputs didn't actually lead to the desired outcomes. It's a classic case of being busy, rather than being productive. Unfortunately, this mismatch can also lead to frustrating stakeholders, disillusioned team members, and ultimately, project failure. One of the main reasons for this struggle is that the terms outputs and outcomes are often used interchangeably, or at least, vaguely. Project managers might think they're one and the same, or that they're just semantic nuances. But the truth is, there's a world of difference between the two. Outputs are the tangible products of your project, whereas outcomes are the changes or benefits that result from those outputs. Understanding this distinction is crucial for effective project monitoring and evaluation. We'll explore 3 practical ways to identify outputs versus outcomes, including definitions, examples, and real-world scenarios. By the end of this video, you'll be equipped with the knowledge and skills to spot the differences between outputs and outcomes in your own projects. You'll be able to ask the right questions, set the right goals, and measure the right metrics. And most importantly, you'll be able to deliver projects that truly make a difference. The first way to identify outputs versus outcomes is to focus on the verb. What are you actually doing in your project? Are you building, creating, producing, or delivering something? If so, that's likely an output. On the other hand, if you're improving, increasing, reducing, or enhancing something, that's likely an outcome. For example, if your project is about building a new hospital, the hospital itself is an output. But if the goal is to reduce infant mortality rates, that's an outcome. The second way to identify outputs versus outcomes is to look at the scope. Are you focusing on a specific product, service, or deliverable? If so, that's likely an output. But if you're looking at the broader impact, the system, or the environment, that's likely an outcome. For instance, if your project is about developing a new software feature, the feature itself is an output. But if the goal is to increase customer engagement, that's an outcome. The third way to identify outputs versus outcomes is to consider the timeline. Are you measuring progress during the project, or are you looking at the long-term effects? If it's the former, that's likely an output. But if it's the latter, that's likely an outcome. For example, if your project is about implementing a new training program, the number of people trained is an output. But if the goal is to improve employee performance over time, that's an outcome. The key insight is that while outputs are the tangible products of your project, outcomes are the changes or benefits that result from those outputs. It's not about the deliverables, it's about the difference those deliverables make. By recognizing this distinction, you'll be able to design and deliver projects that truly drive impact. To summarize, recognizing the difference between outputs and outcomes is crucial for effective project monitoring and evaluation. If you found this video helpful, be sure to leave a comment, subscribe for more insights, and check out our related videos on project management.